Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Man Behind Ministry podcast. As always, I'm your host, Minister Ryan Smith of the Virgin Street Church right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. If you are here with us for the first time, man, we're so blessed to have you. If you are returning with us, welcome back to the show. Before we get into this episode, do me a quick favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, help out the channel. This is a ministry, and we want this platform to reach as many people as possible. Tonight, we have an awesome guest here with us locally from the Crosstown Church of Christ, right up Highway 244 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Not from Oklahoma. He's a Florida man, and so we're blessed to have him come our way. Minister Marcus Elliott Sr. Marcus, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Blessed to have you on the show, man.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I'm just excited to be here to share.
Yeah. You ready to get into this, man?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Awesome, man. Awesome. As we mentioned just a couple moments ago, man, you're a Florida man. So way over here in Oklahoma, man, you have to have to be homesick, man. So kind of tell us about your migration from Florida and what brought you here to Oklahoma.
Man, so I got contacted by this fella who was saying this church was looking for a minister, an evangelist. And I'm like, man, I'm not really looking for a change.
Yeah.
But I just said, well, if you think I'll be a great fit, I'll go ahead and put my resume. Why not? You know. And so this process, it took a while. It took about 6 months to go through the interview process, going through, different surveys and the things that you go through as you're looking to make a transition.
Yeah.
And man, I come up here to Oklahoma for my in-person interview.
Yeah.
And I come to this congregation. I'm like, man, I just feel right at home.
Good.
And so it's a little different here in Oklahoma compared to Florida. You got the beaches.
Yeah.
And my family is in Florida. We're like 16 hours away.
Yeah.
And so my mother lives there, and sometimes that can be very hard. But, being here in Oklahoma has been a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to have a church family that takes you in just as a family. You got your adopted grandparents.
Yeah, that's it.
That look out for you because they know, hey, that's your family here. So, I depend on my church family.
Love it, man. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Also, man, obviously you talked about just being here with Crosstown. How long have you been in Crosstown now?
So I've been at Crosstown for 1.5 years.
Awesome. How's the experience been?
So it's been really good. I just been really grateful for, the church and just our leadership, the elders, and just the experience I've had. I've been in ministry for a while now, and I've never been a part of a church of this dynamic before. Yeah. And this makeup. And so it's been really good and beneficial to my ministry experience. Yeah. And just being able to see what true leadership is like. Yeah. And
it's good.
And what a real family is like.
Nice. Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. And so it's always good. I tell people all the time, man, especially for churchgoers and believers, man, people don't realize how hard it is to find a church home.
Yeah.
Even as a church leader, as a minister, it's kind of easy for us because, okay, we need a preacher. Mm-hmm. Are you going to come be our preacher?
Right.
But, for a member, trying to find that home that feels like home.
Yes.
That's welcoming, that's loving, where you have that fellowship, things of that nature, man. Mm-hmm. So it's I'm glad that you found a fit and found a family, man.
Yes.
So that's good. Yeah. That's good. So obviously, you've been at Crosstown, you said, for 1.5 years. How long have you been preaching? You said you've been preaching for a while.
So I would say officially around 8 years.
Okay.
And so I preached my first sermon when I was 12 years old.
Nice.
And I just remember that we used to have this kind of like, we used to go to this church in Homerville, Georgia.
Yeah.
And we go, and all the young men, we conduct the service for the congregation. Okay. So I get up there and I preach my first sermon. I think I did about 20 minutes.
Okay. It's pretty good for first sermon.
Yeah, it was a smaller congregation. But then I went back to my home congregation, which was about 200. Man, my mouth was dry. I got cotton mouth. They up here talking about, pay attention, it's going to be good. I'm like, 5 minutes in, that's it.
Yes, sir, man. So, like you said you were 12, man. So I was 15 when I started, man. So, I love a good origin story, man. I love it to read it in books. I love to watch it in movies, man. And so, what got Marcus into preaching, man? I'm curious.
Well, for me, it goes back to, even before I was born, I feel like God had a plan for me. Uh-huh. Coming from my background of like my biological mother, she was a drug addict. Mm-hmm. And that's very tough. That probably was very tough for her, but for me, I was born drug addicted, and to be able to see that God took me out of that place, and put me into a family that took me in, that was a Christian family, God-fearing family, and raised me up in God's way. Even though I had the struggles with that particular part, because obviously, you know, if anyone ever dealt with an addicted baby, it's hard for them to withdraw from that. And it's very traumatizing, and it's a terrible experience. And so for me, as I thought about that, I'm like, man, it had to be God that did that.
Definitely.
And I wanted to share my story with other people. No matter what your circumstances is, God can pull you out. And so I've always felt called to minister, to talk to people about Jesus, to tell others about the gospel. And that's kind of my origin, man. I you know, before I was preaching at 12, when I preached my first time at 12, I was telling people about Jesus. There's one funny story. I was eating lunch with my teacher in middle school. And I think I was sixth grade. Sitting here talking to this lady about Jesus, and we were having some discussions, and she said, "What church you go to?" I'm like, I don't even know how we started talking about it, but that's just creating the context of, I've always been trying to talk to people about the gospel, the saving message of Jesus. And I told her, hey, I'm a member of Church of Christ. And she was like, well, I am too. I'm like, oh, okay. But it's interesting that, you start these conversations with people. So, sharing your faith is so important. And that's what's been important to me, to know that if God has delivered you and took you out of something, why not share it? Why not share that good news?
That's it. And two, you never know how that story, that testimonial can impact someone. Like right now, we're in the midst of, Prime Week. It's Prime Week. Get your goods on Amazon. We were just talking about it before the episode, man. And one of the things that helps people make their decision is that testimonial. Is being able to read that review and say, okay, hey, this item got raving reviews, and so I want to, I'm going to go ahead and get this product. I'm going to go ahead and, make that purchase because of the review. And I think Christianity and faith is very much like that, in such a way where the more testimonials that people are able to hear and experience about God, that's going to further encourage them to take that step out on faith. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. You may not be necessarily buying your salvation, but you are making a sacrifice with your life. So, I'm glad, as the Bible says, many are called but few are chosen. And so you can probably, share, and you share with your family. I'm glad you're sharing with us tonight. God chose you well before you preached your first sermon, and so that's a blessing, man. And that's the whole point in these episodes. You're able to get these experiences about these ministers. It's more than just what you see in the pulpit, and that's why we're doing these type of things. That's why this platform exists, so you can get the behind the scenes scoop on what's behind the man, what's behind the sacred desk of the pulpit. So we definitely appreciate that, brother.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Outside of ministry, man, we have what's called First Ministry, and that's your family, man. You got a beautiful family, got with your wife and your children, man. So take a moment, man, and bless us and share, share the loves of your family, man.
Yeah. So I just I met my wife Bethany. We've been married about 4 years now, been together about 5, and it's kind of weird, and I guess I can share our story a little bit. That I was at this youth conference, and I saw her on stage. She was singing in a acapella song group for Freed Hardman, and I'm like, there she is. That's gonna be my wife, And I had already prayed for. God, if my wife is there, just let me know, she was right in front of me. She just didn't know it, and. I didn't know her name. I didn't know anything. So I'm sitting here. I'm like, all right, I know she go to Freed. So I'm sitting here, Facebook stalking her. And I'm like, oh, there she is. She tagged. I friend requested her, and we talked. And I would love to say that, the rest was history. But no, man, she put me on mute for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
She had you on red.
Had you on red. I'm like, really? She really tried to play hard to get. But one of her friends, she was showing a picture of one of her friends. Man, he seemed like a really nice guy. You should give him a chance. And so, she did. And for me, man, she would, she was still in college at the time. She was in her senior year. She's like, I'm studying for my exam. I'll write you back in like 2 hours. 2 hours come by me and I ain't get no message. So I'm sitting here writing, what's up? What you doing? Like, didn't I tell you? But it's been amazing. She's from Ohio, Akron, Ohio.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I'm from Florida. So, just the ideal of us meeting like that, or being able to even come across labs almost seem impossible.
Yeah.
And so it's a God thing.
Sure.
She moved to Florida and we got married probably 9 months into our relationship, maybe a little bit more than that. And it's just, I'm not going to say marriage is easy, but it's worth it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But, just love her very much. And just, her support for the ministry and, the ups and downs of ministry. She's there. She's my backbone, man. She keeps me going. She keeps me encouraged. And we got 2 beautiful children. We have a 3-year-old Mia, and she's playing basketball. She's trying to play basketball.
Okay. Yeah.
And our son is turning 1. He's 1, and so he's not walking yet.
Yeah.
But I hope you get him walking.
Yeah, they say the boys they do they late bloomers, man.
Yeah.
Boys they take their time with it, but girls, our baby girl's 10 months older. She took her first steps last weekend, man.
Oh, awesome.
So wife showed it to me. She's like, don't cry like that. You know I'm getting ready to.
Man, it's just such an awesome experience just to be able to see, your family grow and your kids grow up. I was telling you earlier how my daughter, every morning, she's coming up to the room and, Daddy, turn on. I'm sitting here knocked out sleep.
Yeah.
Daddy, turn on Bloopy. And I'm like, what's Bloopy?
Yeah.
You mean Blippy?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
And it's just, but that's an experience like that, to be able to just, spend that time with her. She'll remember that. Or the time at night when I pray with her, we read a book.
Yeah.
And that's really, like you said, my family's my first ministry. Helping my family to, I always say this, that the first people who know who you truly are is your family.
Yep.
Whether you're really who you say you are. And so I try, in my life, we always try to be the best example we can be as Christians to our children and to each other.
Yeah.
To hold each other accountable. And so I just love spending time with my family and, just enjoying them.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, they are the first ones who get to know you. But also too, if you're being that God-fearing man, head of the house and leader of the family, as you are supposed to, it's going to show.
Yes.
So, when you are at the congregation and teaching and leading, it's going to show, because the thing is, as we know, and if you have in ministry, any capacity, whether you are the one preaching or you're teaching, we all know, when you're up doing your assignment, preaching, teaching, whatever that is, those conversations are being had with your spouse, with your children. And it's those type of moments, man, that I've found that really define your ministry. Because as we know, if you can't lead your first ministry well, that's a sign that you're not really be able to lead the second ministry well.
Right.
Yeah. So that's critical. That's critical. We mentioned you obviously being in Crosstown. God's blessed you to be there for about 1.5 years now, man. So praise God for that, man. It seems like I'm just following you, of course, talking with you now, but also even just following you on social media. It seems like it's really been a good fit for both minister and the congregation. So praise God for that. With that dynamic, obviously, we have to point out the elephant in the room, man. And so you are a Black minister that serves a predominantly white congregation. It's a mixed congregation, so you have both Black and white, and which is a beautiful thing, but that's not everybody's experience, man. And so coming from Florida to this city and to this state, if you know a little about the history with the race massacre, man. And so now with you pastoring a church of mixed race, ethnicity, backgrounds, talk to us about that experience, man, and how that has transformed your life and your ministry.
Well, just being able to see, like, because I've never seen a congregation that was really mixed like that. It was one way or the other way.
Right.
And to be able to be a part of a family like that is very inspiring, number one. But number two, one of the things I asked the elders is how do you navigate having the differences, whether it's economical or political. How do you navigate through this? Through the differences. And what they told me, and this really stuck with me, was we stay away from the differences. We focus on the commonality. And that commonality is that we are Christians. We have Jesus in our life, and that's what we focus on. What the main goal is we're working to get to heaven. And we're helping each other, and all the other stuff, it'll take care of itself. And that's been really impactful for me. And something so interesting, like you said, you mentioned about Greenwood and the race massacre. And before I moved up here, I did some research to see, kind of city I'm moving to, what's the history. I've heard about Black Wall Street. What is that? And so that, that is some, it's terrible history. And so to see that people come together, unite together outside of their differences is very inspiring. And I'm not saying it's easy. There's been several situations before I got that, there was some uprising in our country. And how do you navigate through those things? Well, you pray together, man. You come together as a family and you stay together. And so for me, it's been a great experience, and to see and understand that the kingdom of God isn't one way or the other way, but we're supposed to be together, united together. And we have a long ways to go just in general, but I think it is possible for us to come together as a family.
That's good. I like that, man. I like that. And that's the beauty of the church. For those who are watching, the church is one of the few places in the world that by design is intended to bring multiple races, ethnicities, people, backgrounds together. And so it's, as Marcus illustrated, it is a very tough disposition to be the leader and leaders, with your elders and deacons, and just trying to navigate those differences, man. And so, like I said earlier, just from the outside, it looks like you are doing a great job with it. And like you said, there's been a lot of growth. New members as well. What's so interesting about Crosstown is we have all kinds of people walk through our door. We got people who are homeless, people who come from backgrounds of addiction, people who come in maybe college education with money, and it all the way in between. And but you see the membership gravitating to everybody. It's like, oh, well, you got tattoos, or you look homeless. Oh, stay away from me. No, the attitude is, hey, we're glad you're here. Come over here, sit with me. And it's just so exciting to see the kingdom being kingdom-minded, that just because I'm different or I come from a different background than you doesn't make you any different from me. I still love you. I still embrace you with love and open arms. And I think that's just a great message for just people in general, is no matter our differences, we can still embrace each other and love on each other and care for each other and welcome each other. Yeah, that's good. We definitely appreciate that insight, man. And that's why we have you and just the various guests that we have on, just to get a different perspective, man. Because like I said, from my vantage point, the congregation where I serve is predominantly a Black congregation, but God has blessed us over the last couple of years with the pandemic to have some different ethnicities and races come in, and it's really been a blessing. Everyone that God has blessed to come our way is really reinvigorated the church. And so it's the mentality of, hey, I'm not blind to the differences. Like, yeah, I'm Black, you're white. It's not just race. I'm young, you're old. I grew up in this era, you grew up in that era. However, the differences are secondary
Right.
to God, in the church. And so it's learning. What we've learned to do is actually, I say all the time, differences, they can do one or two things. Either they can be a blessing
Mm-hmm.
or they can be a burden. And it all depends on how you manage it.
Right.
So yeah, from where we sit, it seems like you all are managing it very well, very well. Yeah, man, definitely blessed to have you on with us, man. Before we let you go, we always just like to get insight and advice from the guest and minister that's on with us, man. And so this is about ministers. It's multifaceted, get to know you piece, mentorship piece, man. Like I said, you, like me, are a minister. We ain't young, but we're not old. You know what I'm saying? So kind of, having our family now, so we kind of get in that state where we're kind of getting into our primes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, as a minister, as a leader, people look up to you, whether you know it or not. And so what's some advice you could share with the varied audience that may be viewing tonight?
Well, one of the things that I've noticed that really is helpful is being yourself. I think sometimes we, as just ministers or just people in general, sometimes we think that we have to hide behind a facade. And one of the things that I've learned is just be yourself, be real, be authentic.
Yeah.
If you're struggling, share struggles with people. Yeah, I'm the preacher. I'm the man of God, but I struggle just like you struggle. I've been where you are, and when people see that, it's like, wow, the person's preaching to me is, he's just human. Yeah. And he's working through things just like I'm working through things. And I find that very helpful to be authentic, be yourself, share struggles, let people know, hey, we're all running this race together.
Yeah.
And the only difference is I'm up here presenting the word to you.
Yeah.
And I just, I think that when we are authentic and when people come in and they walk off of the street, they look at us differently. We're not holier than thou, or we think we're better than any. The only difference between us and anyone that's not in our community is that they're not saved yet.
Yeah.
And that we can show them that we are imperfect people striving to live like Jesus and to get to heaven. And we are working together to do that. And I think people see that. They see fake versus real, and that's really what it's all about. Being real, being authentic, being loving, opening up yourself to people that is outside of your box. Sometimes we get so used to being in this is my group of people. Expand yourself and meet new people and love on them.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. We appreciate that, man. Man, you blessed us tonight, man. Again, so glad for you to be on the show with us tonight, man. I've been blessed, and I know everyone watching live tonight, even on Team Replay, are going to be blessed by this experience. That concludes this episode here. If you have found value in this content, in this episode, do us a favor, like this, share it. Again, this is a ministry, and we want to make sure that as many eyes that can are able to watch and be blessed by this, man. Again, Marcus, bro, we appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate coming on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Until the next episode, we'll see you then. God bless you. God keep you. Peace.